The darkness wasn't empty. That was the first thing Nadia Williams realized when consciousness began to flicker like a faulty light bulb. On, off, on again. The darkness had texture, weight, sound. Voices mostly. Muffled and distant at first, like listening to conversations through water, but gradually becoming clearer, more distinct, more real. She couldn't move, couldn't open her eyes, couldn't speak or signal that she was there, trapped inside her own body, aware but invisible. The medical term would be locked-in syndrome during coma recovery, though Nadia wouldn't learn that terminology until much later. For now, she only knew that she was somewhere between alive and not alive, conscious but completely powerless. The accident had happened on a Tuesday. Nadia remembered fragments, driving home from her dental practice in Evanston, rain slicking the streets, headlights appearing suddenly from the wrong direction, the sickening crunch of metal, then nothing. Nothing until the voices started. Any change? That was her husband, Marcus, 34 years old, high school football coach at New Trier, the man she'd married 6 years ago in a ceremony that had made her mother cry happy tears. His voice carried the particular exhaustion of someone who'd been sitting in hospitals too long. No change, Mr. Williams, but her vitals are stable. That's a good sign. A nurse, professional and kind, but distant in the way medical staff had to be to survive their jobs emotionally. How long has it been now? Marcus again. 3 weeks tomorrow. 3 weeks. Nadia tried to process that. 3 weeks of darkness, of floating in this in-between space. 3 weeks of her life just gone. The doctor said she could wake up any time, right? Or never? Marcus's voice cracked slightly. Every patient is different. Some wake up after days, some after months. Some... The nurse paused delicately. We just have to wait and see. Footsteps. The squeak of athletic shoes on linoleum. Marcus pacing, a habit he'd had since Nadia first met him 8 years ago at a friend's barbecue. He paced when he was anxious, when he was thinking, when he was avoiding something. You should go home, the nurse said gently. Get some rest. You've been here every day. You need to take care of yourself, too. I can't leave her. What if she wakes up and I'm not here? We'll call you immediately, I promise. More footsteps. Then Marcus's voice, closer now, right beside her bed. Nadia, baby, if you can hear me, I need you to wake up. Please, I need you. Nadia tried to respond, tried to move a finger, an eyelid, anything. Nothing happened. She was a prisoner in her own body, screaming silently into the void. I love you, Marcus whispered. Then his footsteps retreated, and Nadia was alone with the machines beeping their steady rhythm. The days, she assumed they were days, though time had become meaningless, blurred together. Voices came and went. Her mother, Patricia, praying in that fierce, whispered way she'd had since Nadia was a child. Her best friend since college, Jasmine, reading celebrity gossip magazines aloud because you'd be bored as hell in here without some entertainment. Nurses checking vitals, adjusting IVs, speaking to her like she might hear them because the doctor said it was possible. But it was during the night shift, when the hospital quieted and visitors went home, that Nadia's awareness sharpened most. Maybe it was the silence, the lack of distraction. Or maybe it was that people spoke more freely when they thought no one was listening. She learned to track time by the shift changes. The day nurse was Maria, cheerful and chatty. The night nurse was Trevor, efficient and quiet. And it was during Trevor's shift, on what Nadia later calculated was her 27th day in the coma, that everything changed. Footsteps, 2 sets. One she recognized immediately. Marcus's distinctive gait, slightly favoring his left knee from an old football injury. The other was lighter, quicker, feminine. Are you sure this is okay? A woman's voice, hushed and anxious. What if someone sees us? Trevor's cool. He won't say anything. And I needed to see you. I'm going crazy, baby. Baby. Marcus had called someone else baby. Nadia's mind, which had been drifting in and out of focus, suddenly snapped to complete clarity. She concentrated on the voices with desperate intensity. Marcus, this is insane. Your wife is literally right there. She can't hear us. She's been in a coma for almost a month. The doctors don't even know if she'll wake up. Don't say that. Of course she'll wake up. Camille, I'm just being realistic. Camille. The name hit Nadia like a second car crash. Camille. Not just any Camille, but there was only one Camille in their lives who would be here, in this hospital, in the middle of the night with her husband. Camille Thompson. Nadia's younger sister. The world, or what passed for it in Nadia's darkness, tilted violently. Her 28-year-old sister. The girl Nadia had helped raise after their father died when Camille was 12. The woman Nadia had put through college, had supported through bad breakups, had welcomed into her home countless times for Sunday dinners and holiday celebrations. That Camille. I miss you, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion that Nadia now recognized wasn't grief for her. It was longing for someone else. I miss touching you, being with you. We can't do this. Not here. Not now. Then when? It's been almost a month, Camille. A month of pretending, of everyone thinking I'm the devoted husband keeping vigil. I'm losing my mind. Maybe... Camille's voice dropped even lower. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe we need to end this. Nadia could wake up any day. Or she might never wake up. The doctors said there's significant brain trauma. Even if she does wake up, she might not be the same. Might not remember things. Might need constant care. Silence. Then Camille, her voice small and guilty. What are you saying? I'm saying we might need to prepare for different scenarios. If Nadia doesn't wake up, or if she wakes up but can't be herself anymore, maybe that's... Don't. Camille's voice was sharp now. Don't finish that sentence. I can't believe you'd even think. I'm not saying I want that. I'm just trying to be practical. We've been together for over a year, Camille. I love you. I want to be with you. And this accident, maybe it's terrible to say, but maybe it's the universe. Stop. Just stop. The sound of heels clicking rapidly toward the door. I can't do this. Not here. Not with her right there. Camille, wait. But the footsteps were already retreating. A door opened and closed. Marcus cursed under his breath. Then his footsteps followed. Nadia floated in the darkness, her mind reeling. A year. They'd been having an affair for over a year. All those late practices Marcus claimed to have. All those times Camille had been too busy to come to family dinners. All those moments when Nadia had felt something was off, but had pushed the feeling away because she trusted them. Because they were her husband and her sister. The betrayal was so enormous, it transcended anger. Nadia felt like she was drowning, sinking deeper into darkness, that now felt less like a medical condition and more like a prison of other people's lies. How long had it been going on? How had she missed it? She thought about the past year, sorting through memories with new, terrible clarity. Last Thanksgiving, when Camille had shown up late and Marcus had been on his phone constantly. Christmas, when Marcus had volunteered to pick up Camille from the airport and they'd been gone for 3 hours. February, when Nadia had found perfume in Marcus's car that wasn't hers, and he'd said a colleague had left it there. She'd believed him. God, she'd believed every lie. The night dragged on. Trevor came in periodically to check vitals, apparently unaware of or unconcerned about the drama that had just unfolded. Nadia tried again to move, to wake up, to escape this nightmare. But her body remained unresponsive, a cage she couldn't break out of. She didn't know how much time passed, hours maybe, before she heard the door open again. Different footsteps this time. 2 women, I don't know why you insisted on coming here this late. Her mother's voice, Patricia, sounding tired and worried. Because I needed to talk to her. Alone. That was her older sister, Destiny, 36, a corporate attorney in downtown Chicago, practical and protective in equal measure. Baby, she can't hear you. The doctor said she might be able to. That hearing is often the last sense to go and the first to return. I need to tell her something. Footsteps approached Nadia's bed. She felt a hand take hers. Destiny's hand, warm and solid and real. Mama, can you give us a minute? A pause, then Patricia's footsteps retreating. The door opened and closed. Nadia, I don't know if you can hear me, Destiny began, her voice low and intense. But I need to tell you something, and I need you to fight to wake up so we can deal with it together. Deal with what? Nadia focused every ounce of consciousness on her sister's words. I found out something. About Marcus. Destiny paused, and Nadia could hear her breathing, ragged with emotion. That bastard is cheating on you. Has been for at least a year. I know, Nadia wanted to scream. I heard them. It's Camille. It's our sister. I hired a private investigator last month. You remember when we had lunch and you mentioned that Marcus had been distant? That you felt like something was off? I had this gut feeling, so I looked into it. And Nadia, Destiny's voice broke. It's Camille. The affair is with Camille. Even though Nadia already knew, hearing it confirmed, hearing someone else say it out loud, made it more real, more devastating. I confronted her yesterday. She admitted everything. Said they fell in love, that it just happened, all the usual bullshit cheaters say. She was crying, begging me not to tell you because she was terrified of what it would do to you. And I told her that when you wake up, because you will wake up, Nadia, you have to, I'm telling you everything, and then she and Marcus can both go straight to hell. Destiny's hand tightened on Nadia's. So you need to wake up, sis. You need to wake up so we can destroy them both. So you can rebuild your life without that lying piece of shit and our backstabbing sister. You hear me? You wake up. Nadia tried. God, she tried. She focused every molecule of her being on opening her eyes, moving her fingers, making any sign that she'd heard, that she was there, that she was fighting. But her body remained stubbornly unresponsive. I love you, Destiny whispered. And I'm so sorry. Sorry this happened. Sorry I have to tell you. Sorry our family is about to be torn apart. But you're strong, Nadia. Stronger than Marcus. Stronger than Camille. Stronger than this. So come back to us. Come back so we can make them pay. More footsteps. The door opening. Patricia returning. Everything okay? Their mother asked. No, Destiny said flatly. Everything is not okay, but it will be. They left together, and Nadia was alone again with her machines and her shattered world. The night crept toward morning. Nadia floated in the darkness, but something had changed. The shock and devastation were hardening into something else. Something cold and sharp and focused. Rage. Pure, white-hot rage. Her husband and her sister had betrayed her in the most fundamental way possible. And they'd done it for over a year, lying to her face, stealing moments while she was at work building her dental practice, probably laughing at how easily they'd fooled her. And now Marcus was in this hospital every day, playing the devoted husband, accepting sympathy and casseroles from neighbors, all while hoping she'd either die or wake up damaged enough that he could justify leaving her for her own sister. The rage burned through Nadia like electricity, like life, like something powerful enough to drag her out of the darkness. Her finger twitched. It was the smallest movement, barely perceptible, but it was movement. Nadia focused on that finger, on making it move again. It twitched again, then again. The darkness was starting to crack, and on the other side of it, Nadia Williams was coming back. Not as the woman who'd trusted and been betrayed, but as someone new. Someone who would make them all regret every lie they'd ever told. The first thing Nadia saw when her eyes finally opened was the acoustic tile ceiling of Northwestern Memorial Hospital, water-stained and ugly. The fluorescent lights seemed impossibly bright after weeks of darkness, making her eyes water and her head pound. She tried to speak, but only managed a dry croak. Her throat felt like sandpaper, her mouth cotton. A monitor beside her bed beeped faster as her heart rate increased. Within seconds, a nurse rushed in. Maria, the day nurse whose voice Nadia had learned to recognize during her coma. "Oh my God. Oh my God, you're awake." Maria's face appeared above her, flooding with relief and professional excitement. "Don't try to talk yet. Let me get the doctor. Stay right there. Not that you can go anywhere, but you know what I mean. This is amazing." She rushed out, leaving Nadia staring at the ceiling, trying to make her body work. Her fingers moved, slowly, clumsily, but they moved. Her toes flexed. Her head turned slightly on the pillow. Everything felt foreign, like she was operating machinery she'd forgotten how to use. The room swam into focus gradually. Medical equipment, flowers on the windowsill, roses, probably from her mother, get-well cards taped to the wall. And on the chair beside her bed, Marcus, asleep with his head tilted back at an angle that would definitely give him neck pain when he woke up. Nadia stared at her husband. In sleep, he looked younger, vulnerable, like the man she'd fallen in love with 8 years ago at that barbecue. He'd been so charming then, so attentive, so different from the guys she usually dated. He'd made her laugh. He'd seemed stable, solid, safe. And he'd been fucking her sister for over a year. The rage she'd felt in the darkness surged back, but Nadia forced it down. She needed to be smart about this. Strategic. She couldn't just wake up and start screaming accusations. She had no official way of knowing about the affair. Destiny had told her during the coma, but Nadia was supposed to be unconscious. If she revealed she'd heard conversations, it would raise questions about her awareness, her competency, her reliability as a witness to her own life. No. She needed to play this carefully. The doctor arrived. Dr. Patel, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. She brought an entourage, 2 residents, a neurologist, and Maria. "Mrs. Williams, I'm Dr. Patel. You've been in a medically induced coma for 31 days following a severe car accident. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Nadia managed a small nod. "Good. That's excellent. Can you squeeze my hand?" Dr. Patel placed her hand in Nadia's. It took enormous effort, but Nadia managed to squeeze. Weakly, but definitely. "Outstanding. Do you know your name?" "Nadia," she croaked. Her voice sounded like broken glass. "Do you know where you are?" "Hospital." "Perfect. Do you remember the accident?" "Fragments. Rain. Lights. Impact." "Some." The examination continued, testing her reflexes, her cognitive function, her memory. Marcus woke up during it, jolting forward in his chair with a strangled sound. "Nadia. Oh my God, Nadia." He rushed to her bedside, reaching for her hand. "You're awake. Thank God you're awake." Nadia looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the relief on his face, but underneath it, was that fear? Guilt? Or was she projecting because she knew his secret? "Hi," she managed. "I've been so scared," Marcus said, his voice breaking convincingly. "I thought I'd lost you." "You already lost me," Nadia thought. "You lost me the moment you touched my sister." But she just nodded, conserving her strength, letting him play his role while she planned her next moves. Dr. Patel cleared her throat diplomatically. "Mr. Williams, we need to complete the examination. You'll have plenty of time with your wife shortly." Marcus backed away reluctantly, but Nadia could feel his eyes on her throughout the rest of the assessment. The news was mixed. Physically, Nadia had been lucky. No permanent damage to major organs, no paralysis. but she'd lost significant muscle mass during the coma. She'd need extensive physical therapy to regain full strength. Cognitively, the preliminary tests were promising, but they'd need to do more comprehensive assessments to check for any subtle deficits in memory, processing, or executive function. The brain is remarkable, Dr. Patel explained. But trauma is trauma. We'll monitor you closely. For now, rest. Your body has been through an enormous ordeal. After the medical team left, Marcus pulled his chair close to the bed. I can't believe you're really awake. Do you know how many times I sat here talking to you, begging you to come back? And how many times did you sneak my sister in here after visiting hours? Nadia thought. Thank you, she said aloud. Her voice was getting slightly stronger. For staying. Where else would I be? You're my wife. I love you. The lies came so easily to him. Nadia watched him, this man she'd trusted completely, and marveled at how convincing he was. If she didn't know better, she'd believe every word. Tired, she said, closing her eyes. It wasn't entirely a performance. She was exhausted. But she also needed him gone so she could think. Right, of course. I'll let you rest. Your mom and Destiny are in the waiting room. They've been here every day. Should I send them in? Mom, not Destiny yet. Too tired. She couldn't face Destiny yet. Couldn't look her sister in the eye knowing that Destiny knew about the affair, that she'd been sitting on this information, waiting for Nadia to wake up so she could drop the bomb. Marcus kissed her forehead, a gesture that made Nadia's skin crawl, and left. Moments later, Patricia rushed in, tears streaming down her face. My baby! Oh, thank you, Jesus! Thank you, Lord. She gripped Nadia's hand like a lifeline. I knew you'd come back to us. I knew it. Hi, Mama. Don't you ever scare me like that again, you hear me? 31 days I've been praying, believing, refusing to give up on you. They talked for a few minutes, or rather, Patricia talked while Nadia listened and responded in short phrases. Her mother filled her in on the basics. The accident had been caused by a drunk driver who'd run a red light. He'd walked away with minor injuries while Nadia had nearly died. He'd been arrested, charged with DUI and reckless endangerment. There would be a trial eventually. Everyone's been so supportive, Patricia continued. The church has been praying for you. Your patients have been calling the office nonstop. Marcus has been here every single day. Her voice caught. That man loves you so much, Nadia. You're blessed to have him. Nadia made a non-committal sound and changed the subject. Where's Camille? She hasn't visited? Something flickered across Patricia's face. Was it discomfort? Suspicion? She's been here, Patricia said carefully. But not as much as the rest of us. You know how she is. Doesn't handle medical situations well. Right, that's what it was. Not guilt. Not the fact that she'd been screwing Nadia's husband. Just squeamishness about hospitals. Want to see her? Nadia said. You sure? You should rest. Need to see her. Patricia looked troubled but nodded. Okay, baby. I'll call her. After her mother left, Nadia lay in the hospital bed, her mind racing despite her physical exhaustion. She needed a plan. She needed strategy. She needed to figure out how to destroy the two people who'd betrayed her while maintaining the moral and legal high ground. First, she needed evidence. Real evidence. Not just conversations she'd overheard while in a coma. Testimony that could be challenged or dismissed. She needed concrete proof of the affair. Second, she needed to protect herself financially. She and Marcus had joint accounts, joint assets. If she confronted him before securing her interests, he could drain accounts, hide assets, make the divorce messy and expensive. Third, she needed to control the narrative. In situations like this, whoever told their story first often won the court of public opinion. And in their community, where Marcus coached high school football and Nadia ran a dental practice, public opinion mattered. But all of that required being able to move, think clearly, function independently. Right now, she could barely stay awake for an hour. Time. She needed time to recover, to plan, to build her case. So she'd play the role of grateful wife, devoted sister, woman just happy to be alive. She'd let them think they'd gotten away with it. She'd let them relax, make mistakes, get sloppy. And then she'd strike. Camille arrived 2 hours later, and the moment she walked through the door, Nadia knew. It was written all over her sister's face. The guilt, the fear, the desperation to seem normal. Camille had never been good at hiding her emotions. Nadia! Oh my God! Camille rushed to the bed, but stopped short of touching her, as if afraid contact would somehow transmit her guilt. You're awake! This is amazing! She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, her usually meticulous appearance rumpled, her hands shaking slightly. Hi, Cammy, Nadia said, using the childhood nickname deliberately. Camille flinched. How are you feeling? Are you in pain? Do you need anything? Just tired. Happy to see you. I've been so worried. We all have. I wanted to be here more, but... She trailed off, searching for an excuse. It's okay. You're here now. They talked for a few minutes. Awkward, stilted conversation that felt nothing like their usual easy rapport. Camille was trying too hard, overcompensating, and Nadia watched it all with clinical detachment. This was her baby sister, the girl she'd taught to ride a bike, the teenager she'd helped through her first heartbreak, the woman she'd considered her closest friend after Jasmine. And Camille had stabbed her in the back in the most intimate way possible. Where's Marcus? Camille asked, too casually. Went home to shower and rest. Mama made him. That's good. He's been here nonstop. He really loves you, Nadia. The audacity. The sheer audacity of saying that to her face. I'm lucky, Nadia said flatly. You are. Marcus is a good man. You two are perfect together. Nadia studied her sister. Was Camille trying to convince Nadia or herself? Was this guilt talking, or something else? Maybe resentment that Marcus was still married to Nadia, still playing the devoted husband while Camille remained the secret. Cammy, Nadia said slowly, if you ever need to tell me something. Anything. You know you can, right? We're sisters. Camille's face went white. What do you mean? Just that. Sisters should be honest with each other. No secrets. Right. Of course. No secrets. Camille stood abruptly. I should go. Let you rest. I'm just so glad you're okay. So glad. She practically fled the room. Nadia smiled grimly at the ceiling. Oh, yes. Camille was going to crack. The guilt was eating her alive, and confronted with Nadia awake and looking her in the eye, she was barely holding it together. Good. Let her suffer. Let her squirm. It was the least she deserved. Destiny visited that evening, after Marcus had returned and been shooed away by nurses insisting Nadia needed rest. Her older sister sat in the chair beside the bed, and for a long moment, they just looked at each other. You know, Destiny said finally, I can tell. You know about Marcus and Camille. Nadia had learned during the coma to keep her expression neutral, but Destiny had always been able to read her. How? Destiny asked. Heard things. During the coma. They thought I couldn't hear. Jesus Christ. Destiny leaned forward. What did you hear? Nadia told her. The late-night visit, the conversation, Marcus's willingness to essentially wait for her to die or be permanently damaged so he could be with Camille guilt-free. I'm going to kill him, Destiny said flatly. I'm going to literally commit murder. No, you're going to help me destroy him legally. And Camille too. I want them to lose everything. Okay. I'm listening. They talked in hushed voices for over an hour, Destiny taking notes on her phone, Nadia laying out what she needed. Financial records, evidence of the affair, legal strategy for the divorce. Destiny, bless her, didn't waste time on emotional platitudes or asking if Nadia was sure. She just started planning. I can get you the financial stuff. We'll freeze the accounts, transfer what we can. The affair evidence is trickier. My PI got some photos, but nothing definitive. Do you want me to hire him again? No, I have a better idea. Over the next 2 weeks, as Nadia underwent physical therapy and regained strength, she executed phase 1 of her plan. She played the loving wife, the grateful survivor, the woman just happy to be alive. She thanked Marcus effusively for his devotion. She welcomed Camille's increasingly rare visits with warmth and sisterly affection, and she watched them squirm. Marcus grew more confident as days passed without accusation. He started talking about their future, about how the accident had made him realize how much he loved her, how they should renew their vows. The lies came easier and easier. Camille, on the other hand, was falling apart. She looked terrible, barely eating, clearly not sleeping. She stopped visiting entirely after the first week, claiming work was busy. Their mother fretted about her, wondering if Camille was having some kind of breakdown. Nadia knew exactly what kind of breakdown Camille was having, a guilt-induced one, and she had no sympathy whatsoever. Meanwhile, Destiny worked behind the scenes. She froze their joint accounts under the guise of protecting Nadia's assets during her recovery. She collected financial records. She consulted with the best divorce attorney in Chicago. She built a case. And Nadia, growing stronger every day, prepared for war. The trap was set. Now she just needed the perfect moment to spring it. That moment came 3 weeks after Nadia woke up, on a Saturday afternoon when she was finally strong enough to go home. Marcus had planned a welcome home surprise. Decorations, a cake, a few close friends. Perfect. As Marcus wheeled her into their house in Oak Park, Nadia looked around at the home she'd loved, now tainted by knowledge of what had happened here. How many times had Camille been in this house, in their bed, while Nadia was at work? Surprise! A chorus of voices. Friends, neighbors, her mother, Jasmine, and there in the back, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else, Camille. Everyone hugged her, careful of her still healing body. They shared tears and laughter and stories about how worried they'd been. Marcus stood beside her like the devoted husband, accepting congratulations for standing by her. It was all so perfect, so touching, so completely fake. After an hour of celebration, Nadia asked for a moment alone with her family, just Patricia, Destiny, and Camille. "I'm so glad you're all here," Nadia said, settling into her favorite chair in the living room. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I learned while I was in the coma." Camille's face went from pale to green. Destiny sat forward, ready. "I could hear things, conversations, visits. The doctor said it sometimes happens. The brain is aware even when the body isn't responsive." "Baby, that must have been so scary," Patricia said, reaching for her hand. "It was, especially when I heard my husband and my sister planning their future together." The room froze. Patricia's hand went slack in Nadia's. "What are you talking about?" Camille whispered. But it was the whisper of someone who knew exactly what was being talked about. "I heard you, Camille. Late at night in the hospital, you and Marcus, talking about your relationship, about how you'd been together for over a year, about how maybe it would be easier if I never woke up." "Nadia," Camille started. "Don't." Nadia's voice was pure ice. "Don't insult me by lying now. I heard everything." And then Destiny confirmed it when she told me, while I was still in the coma, that she'd hired an investigator, that she'd confronted you, that you admitted it. Patricia looked between her daughters, horror dawning on her face. "Camille, tell me this isn't true. Tell me you didn't—" But Camille's face had crumpled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. It just happened. We didn't mean—" "Get out of my house," Nadia said quietly. "Nadia, please. Get out of my house." Camille fled, her sobs echoing through the hallway. Patricia sat frozen, her face a mask of shock and betrayal. "Your sister. Your own sister." "Yes, my own sister." Nadia looked at her mother. I'm divorcing Marcus. Destiny's already drawn up the papers. I'm going to take everything. The house, the savings, his pension. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly why. Baby, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. Patricia's voice broke. How could she do this to you? I don't know, Mama. But she did. And now she's going to live with the consequences. Destiny stood. I'll go tell everyone the party's over. Then I'm going to find Marcus and serve him the divorce papers. Wait. Nadia pushed herself up from the chair, stronger than she'd let anyone know. I want to be there when you serve him. I want to see his face. She found Marcus in the kitchen, laughing with a neighbor about some football game. He looked so carefree, so unburdened by guilt. Not for long. Marcus, Nadia said, could you join us in the living room? There's something we need to discuss. He followed, still smiling. That smile died when he saw Patricia's tear-stained face and Destiny holding a manila envelope. What's going on? He asked. I know about Camille, Nadia said simply. I know everything. And as she watched the color drain from his face, as she saw panic and guilt and fear flood his eyes, Nadia felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Power. Marcus tried to deny it at first, which was almost funny given that Nadia had literally heard him confessing the affair to Camille. He stumbled through explanations and excuses, his voice rising with desperation as he realized his carefully constructed lies were crumbling. Nadia, whatever you think you heard, you were in a coma. The medications, the trauma, maybe you misunderstood. I misunderstood you calling my sister baby? Nadia's voice was surgical in its precision. I misunderstood you telling her you'd been together for over a year? I misunderstood you speculating that maybe it would be better if I never woke up, or woke up damaged enough that you could justify leaving me. I never said that. Yes, you did. You said it in my hospital room at 2:47 a.m. on the 30th day of my coma. Trevor was the night nurse. You told Camille you were being realistic about the possibility that I might not recover. Do you need me to quote more? Marcus's face had gone from red to ashen. You could hear? Every word, every lie, every time you played the devoted husband while planning your future with my sister. Nadia turned to Destiny. Give him the papers. Destiny handed Marcus the envelope with barely concealed satisfaction. Divorce petition. Nadia's claiming fault on grounds of adultery. She gets the house, 70% of your joint assets, and her attorney fees. We're being generous. We could take you for everything. Marcus tore open the envelope, his hands shaking. As he read, his face went through a spectrum of emotions: shock, anger, fear, desperation. You can't do this. We can work through this. Couples therapy, counseling. Work through you fucking my sister? Nadia's voice rose for the first time. For over a year, in our home, in our bed, while I was building my practice and supporting your coaching career and trusting you completely. Nadia, please. You wanted me to die, Marcus. Or at minimum, you wanted me brain damaged enough that you wouldn't look like the villain for leaving me. You sat in that hospital praying I wouldn't wake up so you could be with Camille without consequence. I never wanted you to die. I love you. No, you don't. Nadia's voice went cold again. You love convenience. You love having a wife with a successful practice who pays half the bills and makes you look good. And you love fucking my younger sister on the side because it makes you feel important. But love? You have no idea what that word means. Patricia, who'd been silent through this exchange, finally spoke. You need to leave, Marcus. Now. This is my house. Actually, Destiny interjected smoothly. According to the deed, the house is in both your names, purchased with Nadia's down payment since your credit was shit at the time. The divorce petition requests exclusive occupancy for Nadia pending the final decree, which a judge will grant given the circumstances. So technically, you need to leave. You can't kick me out of my own house. We can, and we are. Destiny pulled out her phone. You have 20 minutes to pack essentials. Anything else, we'll arrange a time for supervised retrieval. If you're not gone in 20 minutes, I'm calling the police and reporting you for trespassing and domestic disturbance. On what grounds? On the grounds that you're harassing my sister who just woke up from a month-long coma. You want to test whether the police will side with you or with her? Marcus looked between the three women, finally realizing he had no allies here. Fine. But this isn't over. You'll hear from my attorney. Looking forward to it, Destiny said. I'm sure your attorney will love explaining to a judge why you were carrying on an affair with your wife's sister while she was in a coma fighting for her life. Really paints you in a sympathetic light. Marcus stomped upstairs. They could hear him moving around, opening drawers, slamming doors. Patricia sat on the couch, her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Mama, Nadia said gently, sitting beside her. My baby girl, my baby Camille. How could she do this to you? How could I raise a child who'd betray her own sister like this? This isn't your fault. She's my daughter. I raised her. I must have... Patricia's voice broke. I must have failed somewhere. No, she made her choices. She's an adult. She knew what she was doing was wrong and she did it anyway. Nadia took her mother's hands. And now she has to face the consequences. What consequences? What are you going to do? Publicly? Nothing. I'm not going to blast them on social media or call up everyone we know. That's trashy and I'm not trashy. Destiny snorted. Could have fooled me with the way you just eviscerated Marcus. That was private, in front of family, and necessary. Nadia's voice hardened. But I am going to make sure the truth comes out. Organically, authentically. So that when people ask why we're divorcing, I can tell them honestly. My husband had an affair with my sister while I was in a coma. No embellishment needed. The community is going to crucify them, Patricia said. Yes, they are. Nadia felt no sympathy. Marcus coaches at a Catholic high school. He presents himself as this upstanding family man, this role model for young athletes. The administration is not going to be happy when they find out he was committing adultery with his wife's sister. They'll fire him. Good, Destiny said viciously. And Camille works in pharmaceutical sales, which is all about relationships and trust. When her clients find out she betrayed her own sister, when her co-workers hear what she did, her reputation in that industry is finished. Nadia, Patricia said slowly, you sound like you want to destroy them. I do, Mama. I absolutely do. Because they tried to destroy me. They wanted me dead or damaged. They took my trust, my love, my family bonds, and they used all of it to justify their betrayal. So yes, I want them to lose everything. Their jobs, their reputations, their peace of mind. I want them to know what it feels like to have your world ripped apart by people you trusted. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay. Okay? Okay. They deserve it. Both of them. And Patricia's expression hardened in a way Nadia had rarely seen. Camille is my daughter, and I love her. But what she did is unforgivable. She betrayed her sister, her family, everything I taught her about loyalty and integrity. If there are consequences, she earned them. Marcus came downstairs with 2 duffel bags, his face sullen. I'm going to stay with my brother. But we're not done, Nadia. I'm fighting this. Fight all you want. You'll lose. Nadia stood, drawing herself up to her full height, despite the lingering weakness in her body. I have documentation of the affair. I have witness testimony. I have the fact that you were sneaking my sister into my hospital room while I was in a coma. No judge in Cook County is going to side with you. We'll see about that. Yes, we will. Nadia walked to the door and opened it. Get out of my house, Marcus, and tell Camille she's not welcome here anymore. She's not welcome at family dinners, holidays, nothing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a younger sister anymore. Marcus left without another word. The The door closed behind him with a finality that felt like the end of a chapter. Destiny locked it and set the security alarm. He's going to go straight to Camille. I know. Let them comfort each other. They'll need it when I'm done with them. The next morning, Nadia woke up in her own bed for the first time in over a month. The house felt different, quieter, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, like a wound that had been lanced and was finally beginning to drain. She checked her phone. 17 missed calls from Camille. 12 text messages, each more desperate than the last. Nadia, please talk to me. I'm so sorry. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you. Please don't shut me out. You're my sister. I love you. Marcus is saying, you're destroying us both. This isn't fair. You won't even let me explain. Nadia deleted them all without responding. Camille wanted absolution, wanted to explain away her betrayal with excuses about love and circumstances and things just happening. But affairs didn't just happen. They were built on hundreds of small choices, each one a conscious decision to lie and betray. Jasmine arrived at 10 a.m. with coffee and bagels and righteous fury. I heard, she said, sweeping into the house. Monica told me. Her sister works with Camille and word is spreading through the pharmaceutical company like wildfire. Is it true? Marcus and Camille? It's true. That fucking piece of shit. Both of them. Jasmine set down the coffee and hugged Nadia fiercely. I'm so sorry, babe. So fucking sorry. What do you need? Want me to slash his tires? Key his car? I know people who know people. Despite everything, Nadia laughed. No, but thank you for the offer. I need you to help me plan the next phase. Which is? Surgical exposure. I'm not going to blast them publicly. That's tacky. But I'm going to tell my truth to the right people, in the right way, and let nature take its course. They spent the morning strategizing. Nadia would tell her story honestly to anyone who asked, without embellishment or dramatics. She'd focus on facts. Marcus and Camille had an affair for over a year. She discovered it after waking from a coma. She was divorcing Marcus and cutting Camille out of her life. Simple, clean, devastating. What about your practice? Jasmine asked. You had a lot of joint patients, families who saw both you and Marcus as couple friends. I'm sending a letter. Professional, brief, explaining that I'm divorcing Marcus due to infidelity and asking that they respect my privacy during this difficult time. Anyone who asks for details gets the truth. And Camille's job? Already handled. Destiny had called that morning with an update. One of her clients is a major account, a Catholic hospital network. They have morality clauses in their contracts. When they find out about the affair, especially the part where it happened while I was in a coma, they're going to drop her. And in pharmaceutical sales, losing an account that big is basically career suicide. Harsh. She earned it. The phone rang. Patricia. Nadia, baby, Camille is here, at my house. She's been crying all night. She wants to talk to you, to explain, to apologize. No. Baby, she's your sister. She stopped being my sister when she started sleeping with my husband. She made her choice, Mama. Now she lives with it. She's devastated. She says she loves you, that the affair is over, that she'll do anything to make this right. There's nothing she can do. The affair being over doesn't erase the fact that it happened. Her loving me doesn't erase the betrayal. And there's no making this right. Some things can't be fixed, Mama. Some betrayals are too fundamental. Patricia was silent for a long moment. Okay, I understand. But Nadia, she's still my daughter. I can't cut her out of my life completely. I'm not asking you to. You can have whatever relationship with her you want. But I won't be in the same room with her. If she's at your house for dinner, I'm not coming. If she's at a family event, I'm not attending. You can love both your daughters, but you can't have both of us in the same space anymore. That's going to be hard, on all of us. I know, Mama. But Camille made it necessary. If she'd kept her hands off my husband, we wouldn't be having this conversation. After hanging up, Nadia felt the weight of what she was doing settle on her shoulders. She was fracturing her family, creating divides that might never heal. Holidays would be complicated. Family events would require careful scheduling. Her mother would be caught in the middle. But what was the alternative? Forgive and forget? Pretend it never happened? Welcome Camille back with open arms and act like sisterly bonds were stronger than the betrayal? No, absolutely not. Some boundaries, once crossed, couldn't be uncrossed. Some betrayals were too deep for reconciliation. And Nadia refused to set herself on fire to keep other people warm. Over the next week, the fallout accelerated. Marcus's principal at New Trier called him in for a meeting. There had been concerns raised about his conduct. Parents were asking questions. The athletic director strongly suggested, that Marcus might want to consider resigning rather than being terminated. Marcus refused. So they fired him. Effective immediately. No severance, no references. Just a terse statement about violations of the school's code of conduct. He called Nadia, raging. Are you happy now? I just lost my job. 15 years coaching, building that program, and it's gone because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. I didn't tell anyone you weren't already telling yourself, Nadia said calmly. I just stopped covering for you. You told the principal's wife, at the grocery store. She asked how I was doing. I told her I was recovering from a coma and a divorce. She asked why I was divorcing. I told her the truth, that my husband had an affair with my sister while I was in a coma. Should I have lied? You knew what would happen. You knew it would get back to the school. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you fucked my sister. Nadia hung up. Camille's consequences arrived more slowly, but just as inevitably. The Catholic hospital network did drop her, citing concerns about her moral character that didn't align with their institutional values. Other accounts followed, either due to actual moral objections or simple discomfort with the drama. By the end of the month, Camille had been quietly pushed out of her company. No formal termination, just a mutual agreement that she'd pursue other opportunities. In the pharmaceutical industry, that was code for, we're forcing you out but don't want a lawsuit. Patricia called with updates, her voice heavy with a mother's conflicted grief. Camille can't find work. Every interview she goes to, they Google her name and find things, stories, posts from people we know discussing what happened. That's what happens when you betray people, Nadia said without sympathy. Reputations matter, especially in industries built on relationships and trust. She's talking about moving to another city, starting over. Good for her. Nadia, she's your sister. Don't you feel anything for her? I feel anger, Mama. I feel betrayal. I feel disgust that she could look me in the eye, come to my hospital bedside, and pretend to care while she was fucking my husband. What I don't feel is sympathy. That's so cold. No, Mama. What's cold is sleeping with your sister's husband. What's cold is continuing an affair for over a year while lying to everyone. What's cold is walking into a hospital room where your sister is in a coma and having the audacity to hold hands with her husband. Don't confuse my refusal to be a victim with coldness. The divorce moved forward quickly. Marcus tried to fight the terms, claiming Nadia was being vindictive and unreasonable. But his attorney, a court-appointed public defender since Marcus couldn't afford a private attorney after losing his job, had the unpleasant task of explaining that adultery was still fault grounds in Illinois, and the circumstances of this particular adultery made any judge likely to side with Nadia. Marcus signed the papers. Nadia got the house, 70% of their savings, and his pension. He got to keep his car and his student loan debt. This is going to destroy me financially, Marcus said when they met at the attorney's office to finalize everything. I can't afford rent in Chicago without my coaching salary. I'll have to move back with my parents in Indiana. You should have thought of that before, Nadia said, signing her name with steady hands. I loved you. I still love you. No, you don't. You never did. You loved what I provided: financial stability, social respectability, the image of a successful marriage. But me, you never loved me, Marcus, because if you had, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did. We could have been happy. If you'd just been home more, paid attention. Don't. Nadia's voice was sharp. Don't you dare try to make this my fault. I worked hard to build my practice. I supported your career. I was a good wife. The failure here is yours and Camille's. Own it. She walked out of that office for the last time, officially divorced, officially free. 6 months after waking from the coma, Nadia stood in her newly remodeled living room, watching the sunrise paint Chicago's skyline in shades of pink and gold. The house had been thoroughly purged of Marcus's presence: new furniture, fresh paint, different art on the walls. It looked nothing like the home she'd shared with him, and that was exactly the point. This was her space now, her sanctuary, her fresh start. Physical therapy had worked miracles. She was back to 95% of her pre-accident strength, running 3 miles most mornings, returning to the gym. Her dental practice had not only survived her absence, but thrived. Her partner, Dr. Chen, had managed everything beautifully, and patients had been overwhelmingly supportive when she returned. The divorce was final. Marcus had indeed moved back to Indiana, working at a sporting goods store for minimum wage, living with his parents at 34. Last she'd heard, he was still trying to get coaching jobs, but the scandal followed him everywhere. Small towns talked, and coaches who cheated on their comatose wives with their sisters-in-law weren't considered good role models for impressionable teenagers. Camille had moved to Denver, supposedly to start fresh. But according to Patricia, she was struggling there too. The story had followed her. Social media had made sure of that. Camille Thompson, the woman who betrayed her comatose sister, was now searchable, documentable, unforgettable. Some people argued that Nadia had gone too far, that her refusal to forgive was harsh, that publicly discussing the affair, when asked, was vindictive. Those people could fuck right off. Nadia had done nothing but tell her truth. She hadn't posted on social media. She hadn't called reporters. She hadn't dramatized or embellished. She'd simply answered honestly when people asked why her marriage ended. The fact that the truth was so damning wasn't her problem. It was Marcus and Camille's problem, the natural consequence of their choices. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jasmine. Brunch in 30? New place in Wicker Park that's supposed to be amazing? Perfect. See you there. Nadia dressed carefully. A emerald green wrap dress that hugged curves she'd worked hard to reclaim. Nude heels, her natural hair styled in a twist-out that had taken minimal effort but looked stunning. She studied herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. This version of Nadia was harder than the pre-accident version. More cautious, less trusting, but also stronger, more confident, more self-possessed. She'd been betrayed in the worst way possible and survived. More than survived. Thrived. The restaurant was everything Jasmine promised. Mimosas, incredible food, and enough noise that they could talk freely without being overheard. Destiny joined them, bringing gossip and legal updates. Marcus's parents are apparently trying to get him to sue you, Destiny said over Eggs Benedict. Claiming you've defamed him, damaged his reputation, cost him employment opportunities. On what grounds? Everything I've said is true and verifiable. Exactly what I told their attorney when he called feeling things out. I also reminded him that if Marcus wants to discuss this in court, we'll be happy to introduce evidence of the affair, including testimony about the hospital visits. The attorney hung up very quickly after that. Nadia smiled. Good. What about Camille? Jasmine asked. Any word? Still in Denver, still struggling, Destiny said. Mama talks to her, but it's strained. Camille apparently had a breakdown a few months ago. Full mental health crisis. Had to be hospitalized briefly. Good, Nadia said flatly. That's harsh, sis. Is it? She tried to steal my life while I was fighting for it. She gets zero sympathy from me. If she's having mental health issues, maybe she should examine the choices that led to them. Mama's worried about her. Mama can be worried. That's her right as a mother. But I don't have to care. Camille stopped being my sister the moment she started screwing my husband. They ate in silence for a moment. Then Jasmine spoke carefully. Have you thought about therapy? For the trauma? Not just the physical trauma from the accident, but the emotional trauma of the betrayal? I've been going to therapy since I woke up. Dr. Morrison is excellent. She specializes in trauma and betrayal. And what does Dr. Morrison say about your feelings toward Marcus and Camille? That they're perfectly valid. That forgiveness isn't mandatory, especially not forgiveness that benefits the people who hurt you more than it benefits you. That sometimes the healthiest response to betrayal is to cut the people out of your life and move forward without them. Good therapist, Destiny said approvingly. The best. Nadia took a sip of her mimosa. She also said something interesting about my coma experience. About hearing everything while being unable to respond. She called it a gift of information. That most people who get betrayed don't find out until much later. When damage has been done, evidence destroyed, lies cemented. But I heard the truth directly, in real time, from the betrayers themselves. That gave me power. Power to do what? Jasmine asked. Power to protect myself. To secure my assets before Marcus could hide them. To build my case before he could craft a narrative. To control the story instead of being ambushed by it. Nadia set down her glass. The coma was terrible. The accident was traumatic. But what I learned during it? That was valuable. That saved me from years of gaslighting and manipulation. Silver lining to nearly dying, Destiny said dryly. Exactly. After brunch, they walked through Wicker Park, enjoying the spring weather. Nadia felt lighter than she had in years, unburdened by a failing marriage she'd been trying to salvage, unburdened by family relationships built on lies, unburdened by the need to be anything other than herself. I have news, she said as they window shopped. I'm expanding the practice, bringing on 2 more associates. We're going to be one of the largest Black-owned dental practices in Chicago. That's amazing. Jasmine hugged her. When? Next month. I've already hired them, both brilliant, both Black women, both eager to build something meaningful. We're going to focus on underserved communities, accept Medicaid, do outreach programs in schools, really make a difference. Using your powers for good, Destiny said. Using my life for something that matters. The accident and the coma, they made me realize how fragile everything is, how quickly it can all disappear. So I'm done wasting time on people who don't deserve it and things that don't matter. I'm building something real. They parted ways in the early afternoon, and Nadia drove back to Oak Park. Her neighborhood was quiet, tree-lined, full of families and professionals living their carefully constructed lives. She wondered how many of them were hiding secrets, performing happiness while drowning in betrayal. She'd been one of them once. Never again. At home, she changed into workout clothes and went for a run. 6 miles today, pushing herself, feeling her body respond with strength and endurance that still surprised her. A year ago, she'd been in a coma, her body broken, her life shattered. Now she was faster and stronger than ever, literally and metaphorically. Her phone rang as she walked the last block to cool down. Unknown number, but local area code. She answered. Nadia? A tentative voice she'd once known better than her own. It's Camille. Nadia stopped walking. How did you get this number? Mama gave it to me. Please don't hang up. I just need 5 minutes, please. Nadia should hang up, should block this number, call her mother, and tell her not to share information with Camille ever again. But curiosity won out. 5 minutes. Talk. I'm in therapy. Real therapy, 3 times a week. Working through everything. The affair, the betrayal, my breakdown. And my therapist says I need to apologize to you. Not for me, for my healing or whatever, but because you deserve to hear it. I don't want your apology. I know, but I need to give it anyway. Camille took a shaky breath. I'm sorry, Nadia. I'm so fucking sorry for what I did to you. There's no excuse. I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed my own sister for a man who wasn't even worth it. I threw away our relationship, our family, everything. For what? For Marcus? Who turned out to be exactly the piece of shit you always knew he was. You're not telling me anything I don't already know. I know. But I need you to hear that I understand what I did, that I'm not making excuses or trying to justify it. I betrayed you in the worst possible way. I slept with your husband while you were in a coma fighting for your life. I'm a terrible person. I was a terrible sister. And I'm sorry. Nadia stood in front of her house, sweating from her run, phone pressed to her ear, and felt nothing. No surge of forgiveness, no softening, just empty acknowledgement that Camille had said words. Okay, she said finally. You apologized. Are we done? Nadia, please. I'm trying to make this right. You can't make this right. That's what you don't understand, Camille. Some things can't be fixed with apologies and therapy and time. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed my ability to trust you. Permanently. Irrevocably. So that's it? I'm just dead to you forever? Yes. That's not fair. Fair? Nadia's voice rose. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair that you fucked my husband for over a year? Was it fair that you came to my hospital bedside and held his hand in front of my comatose body? Was it fair that you and Marcus discussed your future together while speculating that I might never wake up? I never wanted you to die. You just wanted me out of the way. Dead, damaged, whatever. As long as I wasn't an obstacle to your relationship with Marcus. Don't split hairs, Camille. The outcome you wanted was the same. Me gone so you could have him without guilt. Silence on the other end. Then, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I hate myself for it. Every single day. I wake up hating myself. Good. You should. Nadia's voice was ice. Because what you did is unforgivable. Not difficult to forgive. Unforgivable. And I'm not going to absolve you to make you feel better about yourself. You need to live with what you did. That's your consequence. Could we ever? No, we can't. You're not my sister anymore, Camille. You're just a woman who used to be my sister until she proved she couldn't be trusted. That's all you'll ever be to me. Nadia, your 5 minutes are up. Don't call me again. She hung up and blocked the number. Then she went inside, showered, and went about her evening as if the call had never happened. Because in the life Nadia was building, the life of strength and boundaries and uncompromising self-respect, Camille didn't exist. Neither did Marcus. They were ghosts of a past she'd survived and moved beyond. The grand opening of Nadia Williams Dental Associates' second location drew a crowd. Local politicians, community leaders, current and former patients, family and friends, all gathered to celebrate what had become one of Chicago's most successful Black-owned healthcare practices. Nadia stood at the podium in a stunning purple suit, her natural hair in an elegant updo, looking every inch the successful businesswoman she'd become. 2 years ago, she began, I was in a car accident that put me in a coma for 31 days. I woke up to discover that my life, the life I thought I had, was built on lies. My marriage was a performance. My trust had been weaponized against me. Everything I believed about the people closest to me turned out to be fiction. The crowd was silent, attentive. I could have let that break me. Could have stayed bitter, stayed victimized, stayed focused on the betrayal. But instead, I decided to build something real, something that mattered, something that would outlast any one relationship or any one betrayal. She gestured to the building behind her, a renovated brownstone in Bronzeville, transformed into a state-of-the-art dental facility. This practice is that something. a place where underserved communities can access quality dental care, where young Black dentists can build their careers and their wealth, where patients are treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their insurance or economic status. This is what rising from the ashes looks like. The applause was thunderous. After the speeches and ribbon cutting, after the tours and congratulations, Nadia stood alone in her new office, looking out at the neighborhood. This community had been neglected by healthcare systems for decades. Now they had a resource, a place that would be here for them. This was legacy. This was meaning. This was what she'd built from the wreckage of her marriage and the betrayal of her family. Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. Saw the news about your new practice. Congratulations. You've done amazing things. I'm happy for you. See Camille. Still in Denver, apparently. Still keeping tabs on Nadia's life from a distance. The text didn't ask for response or reconciliation, just acknowledged Nadia's success. Nadia deleted it without responding. Some doors, once closed, stayed closed. Another text, this one from Destiny. You did it, sis. Proud of you. Dinner tonight to celebrate? Absolutely. 7 p.m.? Perfect. Love you. Love you too. Nadia pocketed her phone and returned to the celebration. Her staff, her patients, her community. This was her family now. Not bound by blood, but by choice, by mutual respect, by shared values. Blood family had failed her, had betrayed her in ways she'd never imagined possible. But chosen family, the people who showed up, who supported her, who celebrated her success without resentment or jealousy, they'd proven more valuable than any biological bond. As the sun set over Chicago, casting the city in shades of orange and pink, Nadia felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the absence of pain. She still carried scars from the betrayal, but peace in knowing she'd survived the worst thing that could happen to her and come out stronger. Marcus had lost everything. His job, his reputation, his marriage, his home. He was working retail in Indiana, living with his parents, a cautionary tale about the cost of betrayal. Camille had lost her career, her family relationships, her sense of self. She was rebuilding in Denver, but the stain of what she'd done followed her everywhere. In an age of Google and social media, there was no real starting over, just persistent consequences of permanent choices. And Nadia had won. Not in the petty sense of revenge, though there was satisfaction in their downfall, but in the deeper sense of having reclaimed her life, her power, her future. She'd refused to be destroyed by their betrayal. She'd refused to forgive just to make others comfortable. She'd refused to pretend that some betrayals could be overcome with enough therapy and time. She'd set boundaries. She'd protected herself. She'd built something meaningful from the ruins of what they'd destroyed. That was victory. That was rising. That was exactly what she'd promised herself when she'd first woken from the coma, rage burning through her veins, determined to make them all pay. They'd paid. Oh, how they'd paid. And Nadia Williams, survivor, entrepreneur, woman who'd literally come back from death to destroy the people who'd betrayed her. She was just getting started. The conference room at Nadia Williams Dental Associates' flagship location was full of faces. 10 associate dentists, a dozen support staff, the practice manager, the CFO. All of them looking to Nadia with respect, with admiration, with the kind of loyalty earned through fair treatment and shared success. Our third location opens in Englewood next month, Nadia announced. We're also launching a mobile dental clinic to serve homeless populations in low-income neighborhoods. And I'm pleased to announce that we've secured a grant from the city to provide free dental care to underserved youth. Applause filled the room. This practice, which had started as Nadia's solo operation 10 years ago, now employed 43 people and served thousands of patients annually. It was a genuine community institution. After the meeting, Nadia returned to her office, a corner space with windows overlooking the Chicago skyline, decorated with awards and photos of community events and staff celebrations. She settled into her desk chair and checked her email. One message caught her eye: an invitation to speak at a national conference on healthcare entrepreneurship. The topic: turning trauma into triumph, building business from personal crisis. She'd done several of these speaking engagements over the past year, sharing her story: the coma, the betrayal, the decision to rebuild rather than retreat. Audiences responded powerfully to her message of resilience without forgiveness, of boundaries without guilt, of success as the best revenge. Her phone rang. Patricia. "Hi, Mama. Baby, I need to talk to you about Thanksgiving." Here it was. The annual negotiation about how to handle holidays, when half the family was permanently estranged from the other half. What about it? Camille wants to come home, just for the day. She hasn't been back to Chicago in over a year, and she wants to see family. Then schedule 2 Thanksgivings. One with her, one with me. You know the rules, Mama. Nadia, it's been 2 years. Don't you think? No, I don't think. My position hasn't changed and won't change. Camille betrayed me in an unforgivable way. I've built a good life without her in it, and I have zero interest in letting her back in. You can have a relationship with her if you want, but I won't. Patricia sighed. You're so hard. I'm not hard. I'm boundaried. There's a difference. She's really changed, you know. She's in therapy. She's working on herself. Good for her. That doesn't change what she did. And it doesn't obligate me to welcome her back into my life. Nadia kept her voice level, patient. They'd had this conversation a dozen times over the past 2 years. Mama, I love you, and I understand that you're in an impossible position, loving both your daughters, but only being able to have one at a time at family events. But that's the consequence of Camille's choices, not mine. I just wish you could find it in your heart to forgive her. Why? So everyone else can be more comfortable. So family gatherings are less awkward. So Camille can feel better about herself. Nadia leaned back in her chair. Forgiveness isn't a gift I owe anyone, Mama. Especially not someone who destroyed my trust so completely. The Bible also says that there are consequences for sin. Camille committed adultery with my husband while I was in a coma. The consequence is that she lost me as a sister. That's fair, Mama. That's just... Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Okay. 2 Thanksgivings. I'll do Camille's on Thursday, yours on Friday. Thank you. And Mama, I know this is hard on you. I'm sorry for that. But I'm not sorry for maintaining my boundaries. After hanging up, Nadia sat for a moment, processing. These conversations were exhausting. The constant pressure to forgive, to move on, to prioritize family harmony over her own well-being. But she'd learned to hold firm, to trust that her decision was right, even when others disagreed. Dr. Morrison, her therapist, had been invaluable in this. You're allowed to decide that some betrayals are unforgivable, she'd said during one session. You're allowed to prioritize your peace over other people's comfort. That's not cruelty. That's self-preservation. A knock on her door. Jasmine, who'd started working as the practice's marketing director 6 months ago. Got a minute? Always. What's up? Jasmine settled into a chair. I got a LinkedIn message today. From Marcus. Nadia's expression didn't change. Okay. He wanted to know if I could put in a good word with you. Said he's been sober for a year. Didn't know he was drinking, but apparently that was a thing. Said he's in therapy, working through his issues. He wants to apologize to you properly. Make amends. And you said? I told him to fuck off and blocked him. Jasmine grinned. But I wanted to check with you first. Did I overstep? No. You did exactly right. Nadia turned back to her computer. Marcus had his chance to apologize. He could have done it during the divorce proceedings. He could have done it any time in the past 2 years. The fact that he's reaching out now, through you, when he wants something. That tells me all I need to know about his sincerity. He mentioned that he's trying to get back into coaching. Thinks that if you publicly forgave him, it would help his prospects. Nadia laughed, sharp and bitter. Of course, it's not about actual remorse, it's about reputation management. He wants to use my forgiveness to rehabilitate his image. That's what I figured. But I wanted to make sure before I told him where he could shove his amends. Tell him nothing. He's blocked everywhere, and he needs to stay that way. After Jasmine left, Nadia pulled up her blocked numbers list. Marcus's name was there, along with Camille's and several numbers belonging to Marcus's family members who'd tried to advocate on his behalf. She'd blocked them all without hesitation. Some people argued that this was excessive, that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. But Nadia wasn't holding on to anger. She'd processed her anger in therapy, worked through the pain, and emerged on the other side with clarity. She didn't forgive them. And that was okay. Forgiveness wasn't mandatory. It wasn't noble or necessary or healing. For Nadia, what was healing was boundaries. Clear, firm, uncompromising boundaries that kept toxic people out of her life. Marcus and Camille had made their choices. Now they lived with the consequences. And one of those consequences was permanent exile from Nadia's life. That evening, Nadia drove to her mother's house for dinner. Just the two of them, a weekly tradition they'd maintained throughout the chaos. Patricia's home in South Shore was warm and welcoming, filled with the smells of her cooking and the sounds of gospel music playing softly in the background. "Smells amazing, Mama. What are we having?" "Your favorite. Baked chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread." They ate at the kitchen table, falling into comfortable conversation about the practice, about Patricia's volunteer work at church, about Destiny's latest case, carefully avoiding the subjects of Marcus and Camille. But after dinner, as they cleared plates, Patricia spoke carefully. "I heard Marcus reached out through Jasmine." "He did. I told her to ignore him. He's really struggling, Nadia. Lost his coaching career, working minimum wage, living with his parents at 35. Some people say he's had a complete breakdown." "And?" Nadia rinsed a plate. "Am I supposed to feel sorry for him?" "I'm not saying that. I wonder if part of you feels satisfied, seeing him suffer." Nadia considered this. "I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel anything, really. His suffering doesn't undo mine. His consequences don't erase what he did. I'm indifferent to his situation because he's not part of my life anymore." "That seems cold." "It's detached, Mama. There's a difference. Cold would be actively trying to hurt him, to make his life worse. I'm not doing that. I'm just refusing to help him, to comfort him, to forgive him for his benefit. That's not cold. That's self-protection." Patricia nodded slowly. "You've gotten very wise through all this. I've gotten very boundaried, and I've learned that protecting myself isn't selfish. It's necessary, especially when other people won't protect me." They moved to the living room, settling into Patricia's comfortable couch with tea. Family photos lined the walls, Nadia and Destiny as children, graduation pictures, wedding photos that now felt like artifacts from someone else's life. "Can I tell you something?" Patricia said. "About Camille?" "If you need to. She tried to hurt herself. 3 months ago. Took pills. Her roommate found her in time. Got her to the hospital." Nadia felt something twist in her chest. Not quite sympathy, but not indifference either. Something more complicated. "Is she okay?" "Physically, yes. Mentally. She's in intensive therapy. Medication. Her therapist says she's dealing with complex trauma. Not just from the affair and the consequences, but from things going back to childhood. Losing Daddy. Feeling like she was always in your and Destiny's shadows. Seeking validation in destructive ways. None of that justifies what she did." "No, but it explains it. And baby, I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm not even asking you to see her. I just thought you should know that she's not doing well." Nadia sipped her tea, processing this information. A year ago, she might have felt a surge of vindictive satisfaction. Good. Let her suffer like I suffered. But now she just felt tired. Tired of the whole situation. Tired of the emotional weight of it. Tired of Camille's pain being something she was expected to respond to. I hope she gets better, Nadia said finally. I genuinely do. I hope therapy helps her. I hope she finds peace. But Mama, that doesn't change anything between us. She can heal and grow and become a better person, and I can still choose not to have her in my life. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I understand. I do. It just breaks my heart, having my daughters estranged like this. I know, Mama, and I'm sorry. But you need to be mad at Camille for that, not me. I didn't cause the situation. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. Patricia squeezed her hand. You're right. You're absolutely right. I just needed to say it out loud, I think. To acknowledge that this is hard. It is hard. But some things are hard and necessary. The following week, Nadia flew to New York for the Healthcare Entrepreneurship Conference. She stood backstage, listening to her introduction, feeling the familiar flutter of nerves before a public speaking engagement. Our keynote speaker today has an incredible story of resilience, the moderator said. After waking from a month-long coma to discover her husband's affair with her own sister, Nadia Williams could have retreated into victimhood. Instead, she channeled that trauma into building one of Chicago's most successful dental practices, a business that now employs over 40 people and serves thousands of patients annually. Please welcome Dr. Nadia Williams. The applause was warm as Nadia walked onto the stage. She stood at the podium, looking out at an audience of healthcare professionals, entrepreneurs, and business leaders, people who'd come to hear how she'd transformed personal devastation into professional triumph. Thank you for that introduction, she began. I want to start by addressing something directly. I'm often held up as an example of overcoming trauma, of rising above betrayal, of forgiveness and healing. And while parts of that are true, I want to be clear about something else. I didn't forgive my husband or my sister. I didn't rise above the betrayal. I cut them out of my life completely, and I built my success in part because I refused to carry the weight of their toxicity. You could hear a pin drop in the auditorium. I'm telling you this because there's a narrative in our culture that trauma survivors are supposed to be gracious, forgiving, inspirational figures who turn pain into wisdom and extend olive branches to people who hurt them. And I'm here to tell you, that's bullshit. A ripple of surprised laughter. Sometimes the healthiest response to betrayal is boundaries. Sometimes forgiveness isn't healing, it's harmful. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is say, you hurt me, you lose access to me, end of story. She spent the next 45 minutes walking through her journey. The coma, discovering the affair, the strategic divorce, the decision to expand her practice as a way to channel her energy into something meaningful. She talked about the pressure to forgive, the judgment she'd received for maintaining boundaries, the slow process of building a life that centered her well-being rather than other people's comfort. I get messages constantly asking how I forgave them, she said near the end. How I moved on, how I let go. And my answer is always the same. I didn't. I didn't forgive them. I didn't let it go. I just decided that my success mattered more than their redemption. That my peace was more valuable than their absolution. That I could build an incredible life without them in it. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterwards, people lined up to talk to her. Women who'd been betrayed, entrepreneurs who'd faced setbacks, healthcare workers who wanted to build their own practices. Nadia listened to their stories, offered advice, and saw herself reflected in their pain and determination. One woman, probably in her 50s, waited until the line cleared before approaching. I divorced my husband 10 years ago after discovering his affair with my best friend. My family still pressures me to forgive them, to let them back into my life. They say I'm holding on to anger, that it's unhealthy. But your talk made me realize I'm not holding on to anger. I'm holding on to my boundary, and that's different. Exactly, Nadia said. Holding on to anger would be thinking about them constantly, plotting revenge, letting their betrayal consume you. Holding a boundary is just saying you're not safe for me, so you don't get access to me. That's healthy. That's self-protection. Thank you. I needed to hear someone say that out loud, that it's okay to not forgive. It's more than okay. Sometimes it's necessary. That night, in her hotel room overlooking Manhattan, Nadia reflected on the day. Her message was resonating because it was honest, not the sanitized inspiration porn version of trauma recovery that people wanted to hear, but the messy, boundaried, unforgiving truth. She thought about Marcus, somewhere in Indiana, working retail, and trying to rebuild a coaching career that would never fully recover. She thought about Camille, in Denver, dealing with mental health crises and the consequences of choices she couldn't undo. She thought about the life they'd tried to build while she was in a coma, the future they'd imagined that required her to either die or be permanently damaged. And she felt nothing. No satisfaction in their suffering, no sympathy for their struggles. Just the blank indifference of someone who'd moved so far beyond them that they'd become irrelevant. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Morrison. Watched your keynote online. Brilliant as always. Proud of you. Thanks. Felt good to tell the truth. That's what healing looks like. Not forgiveness. Truth. Nadia smiled and set down her phone. She opened her laptop and looked at her calendar for the next month. The Englewood Clinic opening, a media interview about her success story, 3 speaking engagements, and dozens of patient appointments. This was her life now. Full, purposeful, meaningful. Built from the ashes of betrayal into something that mattered far more than the marriage she'd lost or the sister she'd cut off. She thought about that moment in the hospital, paralyzed in her coma, hearing Marcus and Camille plan their future, feeling the rage burn through her with enough intensity to literally pull her back from the edge of death. That rage had been powerful, necessary. It had fueled her awakening, her divorce, her boundary setting, her success. But now she didn't need the rage anymore. She had something better. Clarity. Purpose. A life she'd built intentionally, brick by brick, choice by choice, without compromise or apology. Marcus and Camille had tried to destroy her. Instead, they'd freed her. And Nadia Williams, survivor, entrepreneur, woman who'd literally come back from death to reclaim her life, wasn't done building yet. Not even close.